bout number 17, I would like to invite Dr. Kamlesh Upadhyay, Dr. Dheeraj Joshi, and Dr. Mukul Oza as our moderator. And I would like to request Dr. Dheeraj Bhai to kindly call chairpersons, please. Dr. Nirav Balani, Dr. Vineet Sakhla, and Dr. Vishal Sharma, they are going to be the chairpersons.
Oh. Yeah, so Dr. Jignesh is interventional cardiologist at Shal. He works with the team. He's part of the organizing committee. Over to you, Dr. Jignesh, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Yes, Jignesh, go ahead.
Yeah, is it visible?
Yeah. Please.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So we have actually the two speaker was not able to speak, so I'm taking over. We have a case here, 55-year male diabetic hypertensive dyslipidemia with a positive family history, strong family history of ischemic heart disease, and as well as he has a past history of the CV stroke 2 years back, which is completely recovered. And on top of that, he had a three drug-eluting stent in his coronaries. So looking at the risk factors, he is very high. Patient is at a high risk of the future ischemic events. So if we look at the DAPT score in this patient, though we don't have other patient characteristics, the characteristic of the stent use, type of the stent use, the DAPT score in this will be at least 2 or more. So based on that, we will need a DAPT, continuation of the DAPT beyond the 1 year to prevent the future CV events. So we have a discussion. I'm going to talk on a clopidogrel. We have to choose between the rivaroxaban 2.5 mg BD with aspirin, or ticagrelor or 60 mg BD with aspirin, or the clopidogrel with the aspirin. So I'm going to talk for the clopidogrel. In this particular case, I will choose a clopidogrel, and I'll give a reason why I should choose a clopidogrel. See, when we want to choose a antiplatelet molecule apart from these three molecules, we just don't look at the potency of the antiplatelet effect. We have to look at the overall patient characteristics and other parameters we have to look at, as well as the safety profile of the patient. So other data like which are not provided here in our case, that is a lesion characteristic, location of the lesion, which vessels were involved, what are the types of the stents used, whether it's a first generation, second generation, third generation, what is the diameter and the length of the stent. These all the parameters are going to affect the future risk of the stent thrombosis as well as the CV event. So these are just the list of the factors which will be associated with the increased ischemic risk or the increased bleeding risk that we have to look for before choosing a molecule. And I'm not saying that I'm going to choose a clopidogrel because it is superior to the ticagrelor or the rivaroxaban. No, in the initial phase post PCI, in the initial 1 year, I will definitely choose a ticagrelor or the prasugrel over the clopidogrel. But here we are talking beyond the 1 year, after the 12 months of the DAPT, successful DAPT therapy. So here we have to balance the ischemic risk of the patient as well as the bleeding risk. We don't want them to die just because we just want to prevent the stent thrombosis. We don't let them die because of the bleeding or other bleeding complications. So to determine whether a patient needs the prolonged DAPT, there is a DAPT score which will help predict the ischemic and the bleeding risk in such post-PCI patient. When the score is more than equal to 2, then it will favor the DAPT continuation beyond the 1 year. In our case, from the data provided, the DAPT score is at least 2 because patient is diabetic as well as there is a past history of PCI. So here the case analysis, patient is definitely at a higher ischemic risk for the future CV events. We all know that. And considering the various evidences which is available from the clinical trial for the clopidogrel, for the extended duration DAPT, I will consider the clopidogrel in this patient because it has a better safety profile as well as it is also cost effective. So clopidogrel will be my choice in this particular patient along with the aspirin. If you look, this is the table which is showing the different studies which compared the various duration of the dual antiplatelet therapy after the PCI. And of all these, there are 4 randomized controlled trials which compared the standard 12-month therapy versus extended duration dual antiplatelet therapy, more than 24 months. Of this, the Pegasus trial, that is for the ticagrelor plus aspirin versus aspirin alone after 12 months. And second is a DAPT trial, that is for the clopidogrel and the prasugrel. And in this DAPT trial, the 2/3 patient was on the clopidogrel and 1/3 patient were on the prasugrel, and the DES-led and the Optidual trial. The last two trials, DES-led and Optidual trial, that is for the clopidogrel, and that it was not a positive trial, it was a negative trial. And but this DAPT trial was the biggest trial that enrolled around 10,000 patients, and that was the most effective and the most prominent trial from which the recommendation for the continuation of the DAPT came. So I'll go by one reason to explain why the clopidogrel will be a better choice. There is a robust data for the clopidogrel that comes from the DAPT trial, and as I already explained, that 2/3 patients were on the clopidogrel. And if you directly go to the results of the DAPT study, it shows that it's significantly continuation of the DAPT with the clopidogrel up to the 30 months compared to the 12 months. It decreases the ischemic complications significantly. Here we can see that the stent thrombosis, major adverse events, as well as the myocardial infarction decreases significantly at the 30 months as just compared to the aspirin alone, but at the cost of the increase in the moderate to severe bleeding with the significant p-value, and there was no any significant increase in the all-cause mortality. And if we look at the further sub-analysis, the reduction in the non-stent thrombosis related myocardial infarction was also significantly reduced with the clopidogrel when it was continued beyond the 12 months. So around half of the patient, in half of the patient who had a reduction in the MI, it was not just related to the decrease in the stent thrombosis, it was also a non-stent thrombosis related new MI event, which was reduced with the clopidogrel. And when we are choosing this molecule or choosing a second antiplatelet, we have to keep a balance. We have to look at the underlying risk factors of the patient. What is the underlying bleeding risk? So the DAPT score is really very important too, and we have to individualize the treatment based on the DAPT score. Here we can see that when the DAPT score was less than 2, in this DAPT trial, the reduction in the stent thrombosis MI or the major CV event, there was no any significant reduction with the clopidogrel. Rather, there was an increase in the bleeding. Here we can see that the moderate to severe bleeding was increased with the continuation of the clopidogrel when the DAPT score was less than 2. Now we look at when the DAPT score is more than 2. Here we can see that the green line, blue line is for the placebo, that is just aspirin alone, and the green is for the clopidogrel plus aspirin. Here we can see that when the DAPT score is more than 2, there was a significant reduction in the stent thrombosis, myocardial infarction, as well as the major future CV events. And look at the bleeding events. There was no any significant bleeding increase in the bleeding with the clopidogrel. So, and we can say that from the DAPT trial, the clopidogrel significantly reduces the CV events, MI, as well as the future stent thrombosis without significant increase in the bleeding. Now coming to the Pegasus trial, that is for the ticagrelor, and it showed that it is also decreasing the CV events and the stent thrombosis significantly at the 3 year when it is continued beyond the 12 months. But its effect was nullified by the significant increase in the TIMI bleeding. So the conclusion of the Pegasus trial was that there was no net benefit with the 90 mg ticagrelor, and there was a marginal benefit with the 60 mg ticagrelor. Now coming to the reason 2, the safety profile, that is also really very important.
Time is over.
Yeah, I'm going fast. The ticagrelor causes the most bleeding, more bleeding compared to the clopidogrel. That is evident from the Plato trial, Sweden Heart Registry, as well as the Change DAPT study. I will not go into the details of these studies and all that. It is very well evident. And beyond the 1 year post-PCI, there is no any head-to-head comparison between the clopidogrel, ticagrelor, the rivaroxaban. And reason 4 is the compliance. Here the clopidogrel is the cheaper molecule. We all know that less pill burden, it can be combined with the statin and aspirin. There are less chances of the discontinuation. So there is a better compliance compared to the ticagrelor and the rivaroxaban. So something is better than nothing. So there are less chances the patient will stop it. And coming to the newer generation, with the evidence, with the advent of the newer generation DES, our main purpose to prolong the DAPT duration is to reduce the stent thrombosis. With the newer generation DES, there is a negligible chances of the less stent thrombosis. Even the Stop DAPT 2 trial says that the DAPT can be discontinued as early as 1 month after the PCI with the latest generation. And even with the when we are using the imaging with the PCI, and it further reduces because of the proper sizing, opposition, the expansion. And we are not worried about stent thrombosis. And if you look at the stent thrombosis data, if you compare the stent thrombosis in the clopidogrel versus ticagrelor group, the increase in the stent thrombosis was noted mainly in the bare metal stent group. If you look at the drug-eluting stent patient who received the DES, there was no any significant, there was a trend towards the increased stent thrombosis with the clopidogrel compared to ticagrelor, but there was no any statistical significant difference between two. So the recommendation to prolong the DAPT mainly came from the DAPT trial. And last slide, this is the last slide. Here we have the patient which is very high ischemic risk, and provided the clinical data from the DAPT trial, which is showing the beneficial effect with the clopidogrel, and it is also a better it has a better safety profile, which is also cheaper and with the better compliance, and with availability of the imaging and the newer generation drug-eluting stent, which is a negligible chances of the stent thrombosis. Clopidogrel will be a safer, cheaper, and wiser option beyond the 1 year post PCI as compared to ticagrelor or the rivaroxaban. When we want to use it within the 1 year, definitely ticagrelor is better, that we are using it. But beyond the 1 year, when we want a less antiplatelet effect and also we want a lesser bleeding, then clopidogrel is definitely a cheaper and safer option. Thanks.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Rahul bhai, are you ready, sir?
Yeah, I am ready. I'm ready.
Okay. So we'll take Dr. Rahul's lecture.
If Dr. Jignesh can stop sharing.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll start sharing. Okay, so we are discussing a very high risk case. I would agree with Dr. Jignesh when we are dealing with low risk case. We are not only looking at stopping the preventing the stent thrombosis, but these guys have those who have got a 55-year-old diabetic, hypertensive, dyslipidemic, multiple stents. So these are patients who are diffuse vasculopath, and these are patients who would need a more potent antiplatelet because the ischemic event is high. And when we look at a 55-year-old guy whose bleeding risk could be less, I think my therapy for this patient would be ticagrelor 60 milligram BID with aspirin. And I would try to tell you through the evidences why I need to do that. So we all understand the need to continue dual antiplatelet therapy beyond 1 year in people who are at high risk. Then we'll discuss about the Pegasus trial. And I think clopidogrel based regime is definitely not superior when we look at all the trials and in a high risk patients. And then we'll just compare, because rivaroxaban is the new kid in the block where we want to reduce the event. So I think we don't need to go, but a patient with a history of MI remains at persistent risk of CV event for at least 5 years post MI. So that residual risk is going to continue. If you look at the Apollo studies, almost 20% of the patients who were event free for the first year following an MI suffered a subsequent MI, stroke, or death within the next 3 years. And the Apollo Helicon told us that risk of CV event continued beyond 12 months and was greater in patients with certain high-risk features. So our patient is a high-risk features for sure, and therefore we need to look at effective anti-ischemic therapy without increasing the bleeding risk significantly. At least we don't want the major fatal bleeds. We can accept some increase in a kind of minor bleeding. So let's go to the Pegasus trial. Did it contain the patient which we are looking at? The patient who were more than 50 years of age and a history of spontaneous MI were enrolled with additional risk factors like diabetes, second prior MI, multivessel CAD, and chronic non-stage renal disease. And our patient fits into a lot of these criteria. And these are the patients who were taken at about 1.5 year mean from the MI in the ticagrelor this Pegasus study. And they were randomized into 3 different groups, and we looked at the CV and death point. I will go into the comparative chart so that it will become much easier, but there was significant reduction in the composite endpoints, ischemic endpoints, which we are looking at, although there was increase in the major bleedings. Now the major bleeding criteria, if we look at the fatal bleeding, they were not increased. So that's what we want, because there would be an increase in bleeding, which is manageable, is acceptable, but not the fatal bleeding. So the fatal bleeding were quite okay. And when we compare to the clopidogrel, there are studies which show that it increases, and even Jignesh told that the bleeding risk is there, but the protection may not be as much as we want, while the ticagrelor provided that. When we take a patient whose MI is less than 2 years, which was included in this Pegasus study, they have significant ischemic risk reduction, and primary safety endpoint is not significantly, while when the MI becomes, as we go later into the stages, it doesn't matter too much, but at least for 2 years, it has a significant reduction. let's look at the diabetic subgroup, because that's the most important patient, and we are the diabetic capital of the world, and we see a lot of patients who are diabetic in our clinical practice with an ischemic heart disease. Ticagrelor reduced CV death by 22% and CSG death by 34% in diabetic patients. So the body of evidence suggests that diabetic patient who suffer an MI may derive particular clinical benefits from long-term treatment with ticagrelor plus ASA. Now, this is a slide again pointing out that the fatal bleeding or ICH and any other kind of fatal bleeding was not significant. We know that when we are looking at the ischemic reduction of ischemic event and a potent antiplatelet, there would be some increase in the bleeding, but we don't worry about if it is not a fatal bleeding. So what do guidelines recommend? Even if you look at the DOPT beyond 12 months, whether it is ESC, post PCI, or in the medical management, ticagrelor 60 mg is preferred to clopidogrel or prasugrel in patients with prior MI and high ischemic events. So guidelines are made after a lot of studies, and we have an ample amount of proof, whether it is a PCI, post PCI patient or a medically managed patient. So a patient with multivessel disease, multiple prior MI, diabetes mellitus, any of these high risk factors, I think we should give ticagrelor. And we see our patient is not having any kind of these parameters which can be excluded. So typically a patient who has been taking ticagrelor, even Dr. Jignesh said that initially he would want to give ticagrelor. So a person who has tolerated ticagrelor 90 mg for 1 year, I think continuing with 60 mg BID is much easier for this kind of patient, because he's already tolerated and he is at high ischemic risk. So to reduce the further atherothrombotic component, I think CV death, spontaneous MI, including STEMI, ischemic stroke, including disabling event, I think ticagrelor will score better. So I'm going to go into the comparison. I think with the cost coming down and the kind of benefit which we are getting with ticagrelor, I think cost should be kept aside, because now we are looking at more reducing their hospitalization and event which are beyond any kind of cost. Look at this comparison in a Pegasus, TIMI, and Compass 20 Compass trial. And baseline characteristic: 100% of an MI, 62% had an prior MI. The median of 1.67 years since their qualifying MI, while the mean of 7.1 years from their index MI. Our patient fits into post 1 year, and we derive the maximum benefit when we give this molecule much early. So this is somewhere our patient is fitting. We will not go into that the subgroup analysis of the pantoprazole, which was used to prevent the GI bleeding, into the rivaroxaban arm, but I would like to concentrate on the primary outcome. Look at the Compass trial. There was a significant reduction in the primary outcomes, which was less than 0.001. But if we go into the sub-analysis, the MI were not significantly reduced. Only the stroke had in the total outcome, and therefore the result tilted towards significant benefit. But in the reduction of the MI, it was not significant. While we look at the Pegasus trial, there was much better reduction in the CV death, MI, or stroke. And I'm going to show you a slide where the diabetic sub-analysis is there. We will not go into this bleeding thing. I think it is comparable in rivaroxaban versus the ticagrelor arm, because the fatal bleeding did not increase in any of these group. What I want to say is that, the Pegasus took patients with mean follow-up after the MI at 1.5 years, but the Compass had at about 7.1 years, and my patient is just fitting into post 1 year. So let us look at this last slide so that we can have more time for discussion. There was a 22% reduction in the CV death in the Compass trial, which Dr. Patki would concentrate. But look at this diabetics subgroup of the Pegasus TIMI trial. There was a 26%, which was again highly significant. Stroke reduction was definitely more in the Compass trial, and we have a critical analysis for that why it must have happened in a Compass trial. If the time permits during discussion, we will discuss that. In the Themis trial, which also had ticagrelor, there was a 20% reduction in the stroke. If you look at the MI, which as a cardiologist, all of us are more worried about our patients, although CV events, any kind of CV event is important. There's a 25% reduction in the Pegasus and the Themis trial, which contained ticagrelor, while in the rivaroxaban, it was 25% just a non-significant reduction. I went through this critical analysis of the Compass trial and various papers, and I would say that looking at all those trials, we have to sub-select a group to put them onto the evidences from the rivaroxaban trial. Now, this dual pathway inhibition is a new concept and will need a lot of.
Sir, your time is over.
This is the last slide. Among clinicians to start prescribing it on regular basis and is applicable to a higher risk younger individual, while ticagrelor is, would qualify, all kind of patients would qualify. And I think somebody who has tolerated ticagrelor 90 milligram will be happy to take a lower dose of the same molecule when we are getting a similar kind of benefit or more benefit without too much of sub-analysis. So as of now, ticagrelor 60 milligram BID with ASA 75 milligram is the best strategy. Thank you very much. I hope I was on time.
I think Dr. Nitin Patki is ready now. Are you ready, sir?
Yeah, can I share my screen?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my screen visible, I suppose.
Yes, sir. You can start, sir.
Yeah. Thanks, Rahul and Jignesh. And as it should have happened on the timeline, probably the nature took it other way around, so that the events came as it happened in the history: clopidogrel first, then ticagrelor, and now rivaroxaban. So anyway, this we have discussed what would be our strategy. We know that beyond 1 year we need protection. It has been amply discussed by my previous two speakers. And this was the data we discussed as to there was some additional benefit in terms of reduction in mortality every year, but that came at increased cost of bleeding with both clopidogrel and ticagrelor. And so the three agents to be discussed today were clopidogrel, ticagrelor, or rivaroxaban. Prasugrel, as we discussed, does not have much of data beyond first year of life. So what do we add in this armamentarium? And this is the little different way of presenting it than what Rahul has done. But what we can see is that definitely reduction in MACE, which was much more than ticagrelor in terms of CV deaths, reduction in strokes. Although, as Rahul mentioned, there was no significant reduction in MIs, but there was definite reduction in MI. And what is more important to note is that this did not come as a significantly high risk of major bleeds, which was seen in Pegasus. And the intracranial hemorrhages were also significantly less compared to the other molecules. What is important to know is that what we have to look at finally is what is net clinical benefit we are giving to the patient, whether there is harm we are doing by increasing the risk of bleeding, and what is the benefit we are going to see. And here what we can see is that over a period of 2.5 years, there is no significant increase in the risk of bleeding with the strategy of rivaroxaban, whereas the benefits in terms of MACE actually keep on increasing with every passing day with the treatment of ticagrelor, with the treatment of rivaroxaban with aspirin. So the bleeding reduces and the MACE benefits actually keep on increasing. So then net benefits are definitely going to increase. And this is another way of putting it. With rivaroxaban plus aspirin is definitely much better net clinical benefits compared to aspirin alone. And this is what it meant. Actually, the risk of bleeding actually flattened out over a period of time, but the net clinical MACE benefits actually kept increasing, which were stroke, MI, non-fatal strokes or MI, or a fatal cardiovascular event. Now, what is more interesting to know is that the sicker is the patient, more are the risk factors. The risk also increases, and that's what was shown by this COMPASS trial. The higher are the risks, the better are the benefits. So in like in our patient, he has a previous history of stroke, so more than two vascular beds were involved, where the benefits are much more than if the patient only had coronary artery disease. Similarly is the history of heart failure, which is going to affect the benefits with rivaroxaban, and renal failure. And like in our patient, diabetics also are going to benefit more by giving this particular strategy for prevention of future events. And what we really look at from this trial is that we need to have this understanding that this platelet activation is probably going to be more important for first year of life, but beyond first year of life, beyond acute event, of course. But beyond first year, probably it is more of a thrombin generation which is going to cause the events. And that's why it's not only the coronary vascular events, but the other vascular events which are also important. And that's what came out of this data from Pegasus trial also, that you treat them with ticagrelor. The benefits are better if the patient index event was less than 2 years, but beyond 2 years, the benefits are not going to be much. The cardiovascular deaths or non-fatal events are also going to be not much benefited beyond 2 years. In fact, what we can really look at is that benefits are much more if the index event was less than 1 month. The benefits reduce if it was more than 1 month to a period of 1 year, and beyond 1 year, actually we are more or less balanced. There is no extra benefit of giving ticagrelor beyond 1 year. That's what even the COMPASS trial showed. And that's what brings us to this, our attention to the additional platelet activation molecule, which is thrombin, which is such an important molecule which we were neglecting so far, especially because the oral anticoagulants which were going to act on this caused increased risk of bleeding. But with the advent of NOACs, the risk of bleeding is reduced. And in fact, what we are talking from COMPASS trial is just a small vascular dose of NOAC, that is rivaroxaban, which is 2.5 milligrams BD. So probably that's why we have extra benefit coming from COMPASS trial in terms of addition of aspirin and rivaroxaban 2.5 milligram BD, which reduces the MACE significantly. And all point MACE will be reduced, that is fatal and non-fatal strokes, fatal and non-fatal MI. So all the MACE rates were significantly reduced. And in fact, what we can see is that you have some enrichment criteria, like in our patient, he's a diabetic and he has stroke. So these enrichment criteria, if they are there, like age more than 65 years, smoking history, diabetes, renal dysfunction, heart failure, or carotid artery disease, especially the peripheral arterial disease. Now you have addition of one of these risk factors. So beyond one, the more the enrichment criteria, the better are the benefits by this particular strategy. So that again adds to the benefits what we are talking about in this year. Another important point to be made out is that with rivaroxaban, what we are really looking at is the benefits really persist beyond first year of life. So up to 5 years also you have significant benefits. And importantly, this does not come at increased risk of bleeding. Although the major bleeding definitely increased, but the fatal bleeding and intracranial hemorrhages did not increase significantly. So that benefits of rivaroxaban come not at the significant cost of bleeding. So that's what we are looking at. Compared to clopidogrel or ticagrelor, with rivaroxaban, you have significant reduction in MACE, about 24%, cardiovascular deaths significantly reduced. MI, I agree with Rahul that there was no significant reduction in MI, but overall the event rates have significantly been reduced. And this does not come at a cost of bleeding over and above clopidogrel. So this bleeding risk is actually on par with clopidogrel in addition to aspirin. So in this particular strategy, we have a benefit which does not come with extra cost of bleeding. So in this patient who is diabetic, also he has previous history of strokes and he is more than 1 year from his 3 stents. I think I would choose rivaroxaban for this particular patient. I think I raised my argument here and maybe we can go for the discussions.
Dr. Vineet Sankla, kindly conclude and go for the discussion, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Dr. Jayesh, sir. I'm Dr. Vineet Sankla, cardiologist, SIMS Hospital. Now, I just have one question to Rahul. See, if you see the characteristic of this patient had a stroke, and if you see the Pegasus-TIMI trial, all the strokes were actually excluded in the Pegasus-TIMI trial. So I don't think this patient fits into Pegasus-TIMI trial at all. And the second thing is, even in the TIMISIS trial, there were stable CAD patients with diabetes, and the past history of stroke and MI were excluded in the inclusion criteria. So any patient with a stroke, past history of stroke, were not included in TIMISIS trial as well as Pegasus trial. So I don't think, according to me, this characteristic of this patient does not fit into a long-term ticagrelor therapy after 1 year. So maybe we can consider either clopidogrel or maybe a rivaroxaban, as Dr. Patni mentioned. Again, with rivaroxaban, little bleeding risk, if it's high, then net clinical benefit was around 1 to 1.3%. So we have a choice of here using a rivaroxaban or clopidogrel. Probably for me, I think clopidogrel will be a better choice after 1 year in this kind of patient. I am open to your opinions and views. The Pegasus trial and the TIMISIS trial, they excluded the patients with stroke actually. The Pegasus trial, there was absolute no patients with stroke, past history of stroke. Even in the Themis trial, there was no patient with stroke. And this patient had a stroke actually here.
I may come in if nobody is coming. I'm Rajiv Agarwal. I just want to say that the stroke reduction was maximum to the tune of 50%. So if I agree with you, Dr. Vineet, if the patient has got a stroke, I'll not discuss anything except rivaroxaban. And the another thing is the mortality reduction p-value being significant is not seen with DAPT extended. So I'll go for, because of a stroke, clopidogrel does not protect stroke. So I'll go for rivaroxaban and aspirin. Thank you.
Dr. Vishal Sharma.
Yeah, I think they were beautiful presentations by all the speakers, and all of them agree that we require DAPT post 12 months PCI in such high risk patients. Now, as Vineet sir said, I think ticagrelol cannot be used. I think it won't be a better option considering the patient had stroke. As far as comparison between rivaroxaban and clopidogrel is concerned, we don't have any head-to-head trials. As far as personal experience is concerned, at our institution also, I think clopidogrel seems to be a cheaper and wiser option as compared to rivaroxaban. We have been using rivaroxaban in stable PAD patients and CAD patients, but post-PCI 1 year, I think at Western Indian data, we don't have any specific such data. But yes, stroke reduction would be better with rivaroxaban, but as a cheaper and a wiser option, I think clopidogrel would do good.
Even in the COMPASS trial, the patients who had a hemorrhagic stroke were excluded. Now, in this, the characteristic of this patient, they've just mentioned patient had a stroke. So if he had a hemorrhagic stroke, again, rivaroxaban is not an option here. But as Dr. Agarwal spoke, if the patient had a ischemic stroke, and if there's a very high ischemic risk, definitely rivaroxaban 2.5 mg combined with aspirin will be a better choice. But never with a hemorrhagic stroke in the past.
Yes, that is very.
This would be a question to Nitin sir also. Sir, do you have the experience of using rivaroxaban personally in post-PCI patients 12 months? Means, do you have that personal experience of using that rivaroxaban along with aspirin?
No, I think this 2.5 milligram BD is a very small dose. It's a vascular dose. The risk of bleeding is actually not very high. And in fact, when we were discussing the same things with Dr. Keith Fox yesterday, he was happy to add rivaroxaban. The next day, we stopped the other antiplatelet agent over and above aspirin. So he says the risk of bleeding does not really increase. What we have to really look at is that this is a polyvascular disease, and polyvascular disease, definitely there is an indication that we should be using dual pathway inhibition.
मेरे को आवाज सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है तुम्हारा. मेरा वीडियो दिख रहा है. देखो डॉक्टर विटीशा बोल रहा है.
I think Kamal bhai, it's good enough.
Dr. Nitin is audible. Dr. Vitisha, you probably need to raise the volume of your audio of the speakers. We can hear Dr. Nitin.
I think VT's microphone is off.
Dr. Vishal rightly said that we have a vast experience using the clopidogrel beyond the 1 year, and we personally, I don't have experience using the rivaroxaban just beyond the 1 year post PCI. And definitely, we don't have a other patient characteristic like whether he had a ischemic stroke or the ischemic, whether it's a hemorrhagic or the ischemic stroke. So if it is a ischemic, if it is a hemorrhagic, definitely we will not go for the rivaroxaban. And with the ischemic, we can think of the rivaroxaban or clopidogrel. And sir told, Dr. Rajiv sir told that with the clopidogrel, there was an increased risk of the stroke or the bleeding with the clopidogrel as well.
It did not prevent a stroke. I did say it increases the stroke.
Yes, yes, sir, you told that it didn't prevent the stroke. But if you look at the data, it also showed that there was a decrease in the CV event, future CV event, even with the clopidogrel. So it can be a wiser and cheaper option, clopidogrel.
Dr. Mukul, do you have any comments?
I think we have crossed the time limits. Please, now we have to have another sessions also. Otherwise, it will go on.
Thank you very much. Thank you all the panelists. Thank you all the speakers.
Thank you. So now we'll go to the another bout.